All right. Good good afternoon, guys. Well, good morning for here, but so hopefully you guys can hear me. That's what I'm really hoping on. But anyways, a lot of you know that I've been doing my work on philosophy of timing, and this is something that I've been really adamant about this project, this philosophy of timing. But today I'm not going to go too into my philosophy of timing, but rather the implications if I actually take my philosophy of timing further. Um, what does this mean? It means that because lately I've been playing with this idea of the notion of, because this kind of roots from my video of a video that I did previously on the nature of when, right? How when itself sort of never arrives because we cannot make such determinations as of to when something will arrive. Um, but I've been playing with this idea um, about this ontology of an ontology that is already too late, and then an ontology that never arrives, right? Or has the intent to arrive. Um, and if you guys kind of want to get like a feeling about what I mean by this, and this is a very difficult concept to express, um, but I'm going to put it like this in a sort of scenario. Um, being late, the idea of being late, the phenomena of being late is interesting because it is not an absence per se. That's what's kind of fascinating about the notion of being late. Being late is a promise that you have intended to arrive, basically. You have intent on arriving. So there's a way in which, if we look at, if we have an ontology of that we are beings that are always being late, in one sense, as beings that we are always already being there. So there's a lateness in the sense of like we are we are already here, being in the world. So we are ontologically beings that are being late, and then at the same time we are beings that are always being promised. Um, Meaning that we are uh, beings that we haven't arrived, basically, in this sense. So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. Uh, the ontology of being late and being promised. Um, and so what does that really? How does that translate? Well, it translates into the fact that we're always going to have an ontology that is to come, an ontology that is has intent to arrive, um, and yet it never arrives, basically. But of course, to make that determination is a double play on the fact that it is too late, but it is too late because it is a promise of which is still to come. So, if that makes any sense, if that makes any sense, I hope it does. I hope it does make sense, because this is it's kind of confusing, but I am using a sort of double bind on being late, because being late is a promise and also at the same time a broken promise, right? Because you're late because you were supposed to arrive when dictated to arrive, but you didn't. And so there's a suspense of like, he is to come, he is to arrive. Um, and so my thinking on this kind of ontology is that even when we think of an ontology, even when we construct an ontology, it is an ontology in essence is an ontology that is too late, um, because it's already been there. That's one sense of it. Um, the the other sense of the ontology that is too late is because it is promising to arrive. So that's the twofold sense of being late, so to speak. Um, and I think, uh, you know, this obviously deeply has to do with my philosophy of timing, um, because the idea that we construct philosophies of time sort of dictates a matter of timing, right? Like when Hegel writes his thing, he's under a certain context which drives him to write the philosophy of, the phenomenology of spirit, basically, right? That there is something that is already calling to him, to which he must write the phenomenology of spirit. Um, but you see, in that sense, when Hegel is writing it, Hegel is too late. Basically, he is already too late. He is, and this is another thing that I don't want to go into. It's the idea, because we are always too late. Um, we are always confessing, basically, and I'm trying to strip confessing, as away from strictly theological understandings, but I'm trying to expand confessioning as more like as a way of being in which we're always being late and being promised. And this would be sort of like the double bind on our being, right? So basically, even though we're beings, right, there and even though Buddhism probably like, well, there's no being, but this is like the funny part about this is that it's not that there's no being, or that there's being, is that we're always being late. Um, a being that is being promised and being late. We are being late because we are the ones that are being promised, and it's. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, I'm pretty sure for somebody that kind of makes sense. But I've been thinking about this a lot, and uh, I think it's an interesting philosophy of sorts, that in some senses it is too late. Even if I give it a philosophy as such, it is a philosophy that is too late. Um, so hopefully you guys kind of see where I'm coming from on that. That the notion of being late is not also something that has passed, in the sense of like this realization of like, oh, right, because realizations are something that have a precedence of something already being there. So in a sense, that realization, that determination, is always in a sense too late. um, but then there's again that other notion of too late, where it is too late because it is being promised to arrive. This notion of being promised to arrive. um, oh, hey Sam, hi. I'm just trying to explain something very difficult about uh, my philosophy of timing, in tandem with a kind of ontology of that we are beings that are always being late and also being promised. And I'm kind of playing off of this idea of like the notion of being late is actually kind of funny, because it's not an absence per se, it's more like a promise that you have intention on arriving. Somebody that's not going to arrive is a complete absence, right? Like, I'm not going to be there. But somebody that has intent to arrive, like, I'm just gonna let this pass. um, Something that has the intent to arrive is a promise, and yet they're late. And so also this promise is also at the same time a broken promise, because they were supposed to arrive at the specific time that was dictated. And I'm sort of playing with this experience that we always have of people that show up late, or maybe when we show up late to events, that I'm trying to relate this to a kind of ontology of, like, actually we are beings that are always being late and also always being promised. um, and it's funny because it seems like it's different, but it's actually like the same. Like, the idea of being late is also being promised. um, and it has like a significant repercussion or consequence, because it means that when we she's like, I'm listening to try to multitask. It means that when we construct any philosophy, or even like a philosophy of ontology, um, in a sense it is a philosophy that is too late, and then yet in some sense it is a philosophy that is being promised, because it is too late. So it's basically, I'm playing with this idea of an ontology that never arrives because it is always too late. Um, and that's why I'm playing with the concept of, like, we're always beings that are being late, um, that our being is being late, aka also being promised. Um, so it kind of like leaves being itself to be completely open, in the sense of being has yet to arrive, and then also in the sense of that being has already arrived. So there's two. Hopefully that makes sense. Like the two-fold notion of being late, and hopefully that makes sense. But um, yeah, I've been having fun playing with this concept of being late, um, something that is a promise of arriving, of something that does not yet arrive. Uh, so yeah, I think that's it. I meant this to be like just a short introduction to my idea of what I'm considering to be kind of like my course of thought right now. But yeah, all right. Well, it was nice briefly talking to you, Sam. I know you're trying to multitask. It's just like special. Um, and yeah, there's I think there's a lot more to work out, obviously, but um, I mainly got this idea because I started thinking about, what dictates our. It's like when we decide to construct something new, a new philosophy of time. It's as if when somebody constructs a new philosophy of time, it's in a sense too late, because we are trying to uh, translate something that is already there, basically. Um, and yet also at the same time, because it's always in a sense of, like, in a state of translatability, it is you know it never arrives. Right, we can never get at the meaning the complete determination of the thing that we are translating. We just missed the emergence. Yes, exactly, exactly. But that is also like what allows us to translate. Basically, it's because it's already been there. It allows us to translate. I guess I picked the busiest spot. um, but yeah. But other than that, I'm gonna leave it there. All right, guys, take care.